Hi, Pedro here from A&P-REACTS with Steffen from Obscura. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We just arrived today in Toronto, Canada, and the tour is a big success so far. Actually, the biggest headlining tour we did in the United States ever. And well, everybody seems surprised how good this whole lineup turns out with the bands we choose. And everybody's happy. Successful tour. What do you want more?
I was going to ask you, I saw a video that you guys posted on Facebook saying that it's been 7 years. I didn't realize it'd been that long, honestly. But why such a long wait to come back to North America?
Actually, we were supposed to play SummerSlam in 2015, but we didn't get our visas in time. So, as a foreign band entering United States, you need working visas. They cost a lot of money, like roughly $10,000 US. And it's always gambling if you get them in time. So at that point it didn't happen. So actually it could have been 3 years earlier, but now we have a new record done. So not too bad, I would say.
That takes me a little bit into the new record. How has been the fan reception at the shows, especially when you guys playing the new songs from the new album, Diluvium?
Absolutely different. Since we play on this tour 3 songs, Emerge and Evolution, more like a freshy, old school Obscura song, I would say. Diluvium, extremely well rhythmically based song, and Mortification, which is a little bit more slower, almost balladesque-like composition. So the reactions are completely different. On Diluvium, the title track, people rather listen instead of going crazy. Mortification is the Mortification of the Vulgar song is a song where people can wipe their heads, but Emergent Evolution is like a circumstance song. So it's completely different, but overall I would say there's no letdown or a difference between all the other songs we play. So
you find that the overall reception to the album from the fans has been a positive one? I think the album is absolutely incredible. One of the best albums of the year as far as I'm concerned. Are you getting the same sense from the fans that are attending the show, the feedback that you're getting from fans?
Yes, absolutely. I think the record turned out to be the most mature. This is something everybody says, but I think just seeing as a fan, Diluvium rounds out the full album concept we started 10 years ago. Very good. It sounds different. Like, I mean, all the records sound a little bit different from each other. Otherwise, it would be pretty boring for us, but also for the fans. So Diluvium is a very diverse record, and so far what I got as a reception is basically that diversity makes the album very interesting. It's good musicianship, it's a lot of interesting composition, well, craftsmanship into the record, but the diversity coming from a very extremely technical background into almost having like a ballad song, having a bass interlude, which is almost like a own song. This makes it interesting. It's like a dynamic story you have from front to end. So when we put together those records, and more we got the clue how to work with it. We try to more or less tell a story without having the lyrics with you. You simply have to enjoy the record from front to end. So just for an example, if we put 4 or 5 high-speed songs behind each other, it would be very boring. You would be tired. So we are very specific, pointing out which song has to follow which other composition to make it a little more interesting. And I so far think people really honor it, and they really like the record.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about the record, and specifically I want to touch on something that you mentioned. When you guys were putting this album together, did you at any point in time did you guys think of releasing a second disc with the whole album just instrumental? Because I found this album, you could almost take the lyrics out of the songs and just be amazed with the incredible work you guys put on the music side of the record. Did you guys at any point thought about something like that, releasing just instrumental, not just instrumental, as an additional disc instrumental?
Actually not, since the whole music and the vocals are composed together. To give you a little bit more insight, we have a certain vocoder sound we evolved during the last couple of years, during the last 8, 9, 10 years something, and this is basically something in between having a vocalist and a string orchestra. But all of those lyrical background themes you hear are basically composed out. It's not like there's only a certain key or a certain part that is like doubled within a couple of harmony patterns. It's actually a complete compositional part. So this is wiped in between music and lyrics, and this is connected. And if you take that off, it wouldn't work. For example, a song like "Ode to the Sun" from the last record has a very, very strong orchestral vocal part. So in particular, we reduced all of the guitar parts to a very, very small amount, that we have that room for the vocals. And if you turn off the vocals, it would sound very, very empty. But I understand what you wanted to say. I think at least the instrumental part is very interesting, and to analyze it completely, of course, the vocals are sometimes overlapping, and you don't hear anything. But for that reason, we basically released bass and guitar tablature. So if you want to really get deep into analyzing what we are doing, you can read it over there. So
the album to me was very crisp. It's very clean. Like I mentioned to you before we started recording that it almost felt like it was recorded in a bubble. When you guys go into the studio, do you guys have a set idea of how you want the sound to be like? How do you want the album to flow? Or you take a skeleton of an album and then you allow for that skeleton to grow while working together in the studio?
Actually, we had a very, very distinct vision how it should sound. The previous record, Alrosa, was meant to be more like a wall of sound production, like old rock productions, with a lot of delay lines, with a lot of room, and it's more like a broad cinematic sound. While Diluvium had to be, that was the purpose, very sharp and straight on in your face. And with this idea, we started composing all the songs for Diluvium. So compared to Alrosa, we have basically one guitar left, one guitar right. Although they are playing extremely difficult and technical music, it's very clear and a very sharp guitar sound. So we also reacted with the guitar sound on the basic idea of having a very direct approach of the record. Alrosa was more or less built with many, many, many layers. You have, of course, a guitar left, a guitar right, a rhythm guitar, but on top of that, clean guitars. On top of that, we had effect guitars with certain delay patterns. We had here and then a couple of acoustic guitars on top. So the whole approach of getting Diluvium where it is now was basically meant to be very straight ahead and in your face sound. And that also comes back to the drum sound. For recording the drums, we put a lot of budget into recreating our own rehearsal room. We have a real studio, but I'm an acoustic engineer, so I work for big companies only doing acoustics, and we put a lot of money into making this room perfect, like almost perfect. You're never perfect. Almost perfect to record drums in there. So we basically have been able to record the real drum sound, like the vintage drum sound, so to say, and also used a couple of boutique preamps for it. And this makes it not better for the very fast parts, the percussive parts, but every time you go with the dynamics into a lower level, so you hear every glimpse and every bit of each cymbal, and this more or less underlines the whole cleanliness or the cleariness of the production. Combined with the guitar sound I mentioned, there you have a clear production. It's a long explanation.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. And I was thinking that you mentioned that the songs that you're playing on the tour from the new record, they're very different from each other. I couldn't agree more. Those are very three distinct songs within the record. The record itself is very distinct from song to song. Was there a specific reason why you guys picked those three to play them live? Is it because of how unique each one of them is within itself? Or is there any other special reason why you guys decided to go with those three and perhaps not some other songs on the record?
Actually, there are two reasons for it. First, all of those three songs have been released before the album, so basically the three singles. We have two music videos, one for Modification of the Vulgar Sun, one for the title track, and Emergent Evolution was the second single, so people are more or less aware of those records. We don't play more songs since for the previous record, Alrosa, we haven't been able to tour in the United States. So when we come back to Europe early next year, we'll definitely exchange Alrosa songs with Diluvium to have to focus on that new record, and then we choose more songs.
And then you guys also have a tour coming up in Japan.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about Japan because you guys are playing, I believe, 4 shows there, if I'm not mistaken. and it seems to be a place where a lot of bands want to play there. What's your experience with Japan? Why is Japan such a unique place that is really attractive for metal bands to go there and play?
This will be our 4th tour in Japan, and we have been there a couple of times within the last, I guess for each record in the past we played in Japan. So first of all, I think it's a certain respect for musicians. In Europe it's accepted that you more or less have a job as being a musician. In North America I think it's very much honored, but in Japan or overall Asia it seems like if you're a professional musician, people see you as a completely different standing. They absolutely honor and respect you for what you are doing, and they're absolutely grateful that you make it that far to come to their place and play a show for them. Aside from that, the whole circumstances in Japan are completely different, and the cultural aspect is a completely different story. So going to Japan for somebody who grew up in the Western world is like a completely different world, and actually a good one.
And the experience with the live shows, is it a lot different as well from what you guys get, for example, in Europe or North America? In terms of the feedback you get from the audience?
All the fans over there are very quiet until the show starts, and then they completely freak out. And you see fans coming straight from work with their suits and back to the venue and completely freaking out, and they go with the suit and back home or back to work. It's completely bizarre. Simply a different culture. I wouldn't say better or worse, but it's simply completely different, and it's an experience I can just recommend to everyone. If you get an offer to play Japan, do it.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your time today. I want to let everybody know to check the below on the video below. I'm going to put all the dates of the tour, of the remaining dates of the US tour, as well as the European tour and the Japan dates as well. So if people want to catch you on the road, they know exactly where to see you guys perform next. So all the tour dates are going to be in the description of this video below. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for the interview.